Good morning, good morning, good morning, guys. Hope you guys are all having a wonderful, wonderful day. This is going to be another quick trade idea, Bitcoin trade setup, whatever you want to call it. It's going to be a in and out trade for me, a range trade, and essentially it's actually going to be a follow-up to yesterday's video as well, where we discussed these ranges over here, the top of the range around 10,400, middle of the range at around 10,000, and the bottom of the range at 9,589. In the previous video, we did discuss how I came up with these ranges. Now, in this video, I'm going to be using these ranges again, but this time around, my top of the range is going to be yesterday's middle of the range, okay? The bottom of the range is going to stay as is, and the new middle of the range is going to be the middle of these two ranges over here, okay? As you can see, these candle closes are lining up really, really well with it too. All right, so let's get on with the trade that I just put on. Essentially, I am taking a short position again because, like I said, I'd love to take a long because you want to be long because the direction is to the upside, right? You want to be in the direction of the trend. But hey, the trades that are showing up right now are against resistance, and right now we are sitting against this resistance line over here, which is the middle of the range, right? And you might be thinking, wait a minute, Sean, it looks like we are above that. We've cleared that resistance. No, we've not done that yet. Not the way I trade at the very least, right? I'm looking for a candle close at the very least to say, hey, we have cleared that resistance. Do we have a candle close just yet? No, not yet, right? We are waiting at least 1 hour and 7 minutes for that candle close. The previous candle close actually closed underneath that resistance. You can see that the 10 SMA too is pressing down in a way on price action, right? Price is actually living underneath it as of right now. So this actually proves to be an opportunity for us, right? We can take a trade above our resistance line and give us a very, very good entry as well as an exit if we are wrong. What do I mean by that? Well, this is what I'm hypothesizing. I'm saying that, hey, we close underneath this resistance line over here at around 9,820 on our previous candle, right? As you can see, this 4-hour candle, this one right over here, closed underneath. Now this candle over here hasn't really finished yet. It hasn't really closed. So what I'm saying is that by the end of the candle close, we are going to get rejected and close at least underneath the 10 SMA, if not underneath the 10 SMA as well as this horizontal over here. If we close underneath there, underneath the 10 as well as 9,820, I'm going to feel very, very confident in my trade, and I'm going to look for continuation down to the bottom of the range finally, right? Ever since yesterday's video, we've been waiting for that so that we can get a long opportunity. And then I'm going to close out my short position. Okay, as you can see, we are seeing that rejection, and that's essentially where I took my trade right over here. I like to do that where price actually pokes above the 10 SMA line too, or whatever support or resistance you're looking at, right? When price pokes above it, people tend to get scared and they leave their positions. But for me, that's an opportunity to enter my position because I know that there's a nice way for me to manage my risk. Apologies, I had to pause the video for a bit. There was some background noise that I had to take care of. All right, so going back to what we were talking about. We were talking about how this proves as a really, really nice way for me to manage my risk, in that I can wait for price to allow me to be in profits and still be wrong, right? Essentially, I can be wrong and still be in profits. That's a better way of putting it. What do I mean by that? Well, if price closes above the 10 SMA, well, I can still be in profits and get out of my position because I got in on this horizontal line right over here, right, at around 9,885. Now, it may actually close above, in which case I'll be taking a loss, but let's say I've taken my trade over here at 9,803, which is valid to do, right? Which is valid to do. But often price does this, right? It will come poke way, way above into your horizontal, underneath or above your horizontal, depending on whether it's support or resistance, and then close underneath. So it does give you an opportunity to get a better trade in if it does go your way. If it doesn't go your way, it gives you an opportunity to take less of a loss when you do get out, right? So let's say that there are two scenarios from here. Price either closes underneath this level over here and then goes down, in which case I got my entry over here, right? So I've essentially captured this much of profits as well. This area over here between 9,894 to 9,813, I've captured that as well. If instead I'd taken my trade right over here, okay, at 9,813, which would be valid too, right? It's right against your resistance. I would have missed out on this opportunity, right? I would have missed out on this part of the trade. But again, I'm not saying that's a wrong way of doing it. Over here, I was just being a little bit more patient, to be a little bit more opportunistic. Okay, it allows me to take trades that are not as appetizing, like this one over here, because hey, the trend is to the upside, right? I don't want to be taking too many trades to the downside until we break that trend. Okay, so now the second scenario is that hey, I actually lose out on this trade and we actually close back above this horizontal. Well, in that case, instead of me taking a loss from 9,813 all the way to 9,891, so instead of taking a loss of this much of this area over here, same area, I would have saved that loss, save that much in losses and taken only a slight bit of loss, right? Depending on where prices close. If price closes around here, then I'll be taking a loss from here to here, from this area here, right? This zone of losses. Okay, however, if I take my trade all the way over here and price closes here, then I'll be taking a loss of this much, right? So that's the advantage of letting price poke underneath or above your support and resistance, taking the trade over there and then waiting for it to close underneath. Okay, so now all I have to do is wait for price to close underneath the 10 SMA and underneath 9,819. If both happens, I'll be very, very confident. If only one happens, right? So for example, if we close only underneath the 10 SMA but not underneath this horizontal, I'll be waiting for the second candle. The second candle should show me weakness as well. Okay, now when I say weakness, I'm talking about what the candle actually looks like, right? If we keep seeing rejections and hard rejections against the 10 SMA, I will be like, okay, you know what, we've not closed underneath this horizontal over here around 9,818 yet, but it does look like we're going to end up doing it because we are constantly seeing a rejection and weak candles against that 4-hour 10 SMA. However, the best case scenario would be for us to close at least by the second candle underneath this horizontal over here at 9,813, because that would give me my continuation trade. Now, going back to the previous video as well, guys, look at how all of this is lining up, right? You're seeing that this weakness is coming in just as this 21 EMA lines up with the horizontal, right? Very, very similar to yesterday's video where we were looking at our short trade on the 1 hour time frame. Let's go. So right over here, we were looking for that move down to either the 21 EMA or to the 10K, right? But when we took the trade initially, right at the beginning of the video, price was still somewhere around here and the 21 EMA was all the way somewhere around here, right around 9,700 or 9,709 or 9,726. It was still underneath this major wick, right? This wick that I was basing off of, and as soon as the 21 EMA started coming up above the wick, which was around here, I was like, you know what, I'm going to take my profits I'm going to take my profits over here on the 21 EMA because the 21 EMA is now above this wick over here, and if we do see that defense of this wick, right, then it is likely that we do see the bounce. If we take out the wick, then I'll be looking for that move down to this horizontal over here at 9,592, or at the very least down to the 10K over here at 9,668, right? Now what ends up happening? Well, clearly I was partially right, partially wrong. We took out the wick, but we did defend the 21 EMA, right? We took out the wick on a wick basis, but on a candle closing basis, we actually defended the 21 EMA. So both ended up happening, at least for now. We ended up getting that push up to the upside. It's a good thing I took my profits, right? But we did later come down again, and now we're playing off that same thesis that, hey, we've taken out this wick over here, lost that 1 hour uptrend. We are likely now to come and meet that 9,585 support zone from yesterday's video, right? And that does line up with now the 4 hour also coming into confluence with that horizontal. So I'm guessing in the next couple of candles, this 4 hour 21 EMA is going to line up with this horizontal over here at 9,590-ish. And we are going to have that test of the 4 hour 21 EMA. And yep, you're seeing how it all comes together. We are seeing that rejection right now of this horizontal. We did poke up a little bit higher onto this candle close over here. I'm looking for BTC to close the next 35 minutes underneath the 10 SMA. If it doesn't, I'm just going to simply get out of my trade. I'll take the loss. It's all well and good. A very, very small loss. like think about it, right? Let's say I get out somewhere around here. I'll be taking a 0.27% loss, but if this trade does go in my favor and I do take my profits, that's a minus 2.95% move, right? Sorry, it's a 2.94% move in my favor. So think about that, right? I need to lose 10 times, right, to or essentially, a better way to put it, one win is essentially covering 10 of these losses, right? Just for me to break even, and I'm not going to lose that often, right? You have to trust in your trade setups and take the small losses and take your wins when they do come. Make sure that you stick to your rules. If you're playing a trend, it's going to be much bigger wins, right? You're going to have wins that are much larger. Like, for example, just a quick off topic off topic idea rather. I took this link trade over here, this link BTC trade, and this was a massive win, guys. This was a 20% win to the downside over here, and we had to be patient for it, but we got the win, right? And how many losses can I take to be able to still be in profits on my overall portfolio? Well, if I keep taking losses that are around 1%, minus 1%, minus 0.5%, minus even 1.5%, it's not going to matter. I can take many of those if I manage to get a win like this, right? So when you're taking a trend trade, you need to be able to look at the long term, be like, you know what, I've taken this loss, it's all right, move on. Taking the loss, it's all right, move on. And all you need is one of these, and they're going to far exceed any of the losses that you could possibly take. Right now, we're actually seeing BTC get rejected off that horizontal right over here, and again, I'm looking for it to close underneath the 10 SMA. If it does, I'm going to hold on to the trade. If it doesn't, I'm going to get out of the trade, right? Oh, and if you guys are wondering as to how far into your support or resistance can price poke into, now there are multiple ways to do it, but essentially I like to look at the candle closes above a support line. So over here, the support lines, the key support areas were, again, two support areas. We had the 9,817 support horizontal, and then we had the 10 SMA on the 4-hour time frame. So if I'm looking for a poke above both of those, I'll be looking at the next key horizontals on the 4-hour time frame. You could also look at this wick over here, but I don't know if that actually works. I've not really backtested that, but for me, from my experience and backtesting, this tends to work a lot, right? You can look at this horizontal over here. Price does tend to poke into it, and then you see that rejection. We're seeing it right now, actually. Now, just because we're seeing it right now doesn't mean it needs to pan out, right? We may see it close above. The bulls may defend this. Remember, it's always one against the other. Now, another quick note, I did not get my trade exactly in on this horizontal. Sometimes when I do try to be too nitpicky with that kind of thing, I do end up missing the trade completely, which is why I put my bid slightly lower, front running it a little bit, and I got it around 9,885-ish or something like that. Yeah, somewhere around there. Also, you got to keep in mind that, hey, your exchange may not get up that high, right? The exchange that you're trading on. I am charting on Bitstamp, but I'm trading on Deribit. Now, sometimes the opposite happens, where Deribit may shoot up higher than Bitstamp. But either way, you got to account for those small discrepancies while trading. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Again, very simple trade setup, very easy for me to know where I'm wrong. If we close above this region over here, about 10 SMA, I'll just take the loss and get out of the trade. If we close underneath, I'll hold on to the trade and look for continuation to the downside. If we can close up underneath the 10 SMA as well as horizontal, that's going to be very confidence inducing, and yeah, reducing stress as well, right? But as for a stop loss, you always want to have a hard stop on your position in case you are walking away from your computer, right? So now I am going to be basing my trade off a candle close, so either a candle close above this 10 SMA or a wick above this region over here. Essentially, this wick above over here is going to be my hard stop. And the reason I'm going to put that on is because now I'm going to go and prep for my feast in the evening. Essentially, I'm going to be chopping up a lot of vegetables, and I don't want to be caught off guard in case Bitcoin decides to have a massive move to the upside. So I'm going to put a stop loss above here just to protect myself. Now, this is a protective stopper, right? You could have your stop over here too, but I don't know, Bitcoin may actually have a crazy move where it may wick into this area over here, get rejected, and close underneath, right? That may happen as well. Now, that is very unlikely. If we do get all the way up over here, I do think that we're going to get get past 10,081 as well, like it's very likely that we close above the 10 SMA as well, right? But the reason I'm going to be putting my stop over here is because, think about it, well, we have only a 0.4642% extra loss that I'll have to take, but I get to safeguard myself against a hunt, right? So it is that trade-off that I am making. And again, remember guys, this is a protective stop. This is a protective stop, because if we do actually see a wick into this area over here, I'm likely gonna be able to have enough time to get a better exit around 9,000, somewhere in the middle over here, right? So that's how I'm playing it. Again, this is just one of those things that you have to kind of get a feel for after having a lot of experience trading the charts, and that's how I'm doing it. That being said, again, just a quick update on where I'm going to be taking profits, somewhere around here, depending on where the 21 EMA comes in at. Again, if the 21 EMA comes in higher, I'll be taking my profits over there. I may leave some in depending on how this candle closes, because I'll be looking to actually try and capitalize on some more profits on the Tenkin and perhaps further breakdown and continuation down on over to the Kijun. I'm not actually leaning towards that just yet, but it depends on whether we actually close underneath this horizontal as well. If we do close underneath this horizontal, then I do think that we may actually get down to 8,900, but we do have some areas of support to deal with before that. And again, I'm getting ahead of myself. Again, profits over here and loss above the 10 SMA, stop loss over here. All right, I'll see you guys in the next video. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. See you.